Oh, well, so much to discuss on today's Hot Mics. Our live guest is Candace Owens. She'll be here shortly. She got fired from the Daily Wire just a year ago. Big falling out, but she's doubled her imprint since then. She's got everything. She's got an opinion on everything. She is absolutely Blake and Ryan's worst nightmare. A lot of details on that front. So much to talk about. Hot Mics with Billy Bush is presented by our friends at LA Golf. We are live on TuneIn and YouTube. Hey. Before we get into anything, I want to say a happy 70th birthday to Bruce Willis. I love Bruce. Today, his daughter Rumor put out a beautiful little video tribute to her dad, who was diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia a few years ago. In the video, it's Demi and Bruce dancing in the kitchen. The girls love their dad. I have to tell you, people ask me, having worked in Hollywood and covering celebrities and entertainment for so long, who are the good ones? Who are the bad ones? Who's the worst? When they ask me the worst, I always have to tell the Tommy Lee story. Tommy Lee Jones, he just was so brutal to me in an interview. He's just so miserable. God, he's tough. Anyway, we'll do him another day. But Bruce Willis, because it's positive and he's beautiful, he's one of the great guys. I think of three things when I think of Bruce. One, since I mentioned the daughters, it was a charity event, a daytime event, and the girls were young. And I remember we, said, look, your kids are going to be there with you. We asked the publicist, would we be able to talk to Bruce and his daughters? And they'd never been on camera before, and they said, sure, yeah, why not? Okay, you'll start with Bruce, and then we'll bring the girls in. So Bruce and I finish our thing. I say, well, this is so exciting. We're going to meet Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah today, Bruce. And he said, Billy, I'm going to tell you something right now before my girls come in here. No monkey questions. I said, monkey questions? What does that mean? He says, just keep it right where okay, or I'm going to go full die hard on you. I got it, Bruce. No problem. The girls were so adorable, loving with their father. They were awesome. And look at them now. But the other Bruce Willis story, when I think of Bruce, a couple other things popped to my mind. One, when my now ex-wife, but Sydney, her mother, my mother-in-law, was in town. We went out, I took him out to Cut, great steakhouse in Beverly Hills, nice fancy restaurant for Mama Carolyn's birthday. And Bruce Willis, I see him across the room. I thought, this will be funny. Bruce is a good guy. We always have a good time. I go over to Bruce. I say, hey, Bruce, my mother-in-law is having her birthday. Her name is Carolyn. Will you come over and give her the whole thing? Will you give her the business? He said, oh, don't worry. So about 10 minutes later, Bruce comes to the table and he goes, Carolyn? Carolyn? She looks up, goes ghost white. Carolyn? Oh, my God, that one weekend, and now you don't call, you don't write, you've ghosted me. What the hell is going on? My ex-wife is like losing her mind. It's unbelievable. She's flush white. He takes a bunch of pictures, so charming, takes off. I mean, just that big personality. And finally, this one is an all-timer. Bruce Willis and I'm covering a premiere of, I can't remember the movie. He's done too many, but it's in Los Angeles, in Westwood, which is a little enclave where they have a lot of premieres. I'm on the red carpet. Bruce is coming. I start talking to Bruce. We're having our usual fun. I notice he's not looking in my eyes. He's a little bit lower. I'm like, I don't have a connection with Bruce. What's happening? Finally, he goes, Billy, I can't take it anymore. You need to trim the nose hairs. I didn't know this was over. He reaches forward. He grabs the nose hair he puts his hands right on the hair in my nose and whips it right down. I mean, I screamed to my, who does that? I mean, he didn't even have any Purell to wash his hands, but God, he was just that charming, funny guy. And he's celebrating his 70th birthday, and the kids are all around him. His current wife now, Emma Hemming, she's unbelievable what she's doing. So I just think about Bruce, and I hope his days are joyous. Love you, Bruce Willis. All right, so we've got some show today. Our guest is conservative commentator, writer, podcaster, influencer, creator, and I'm going to call her unparalleled find-outologist, Candace Owens. she'll be with us. She is controversial, for sure. Candace is currently relitigating the Harvey Weinstein case, re-examining court documents, and having phone conversations with the convict himself, okay? But she is definitely Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' worst nightmare. A curious, eloquent inquisitor with a thirst for legal filings and an enthusiastic willingness to share her theories on who's doing what to whom and why, without fear of retaliation. She has giant balls. I mean, unbelievable. So we're going to get real with Candace because, like her or not, she matters. That's ahead. But on the topic of Blake and Ryan today, Ryan Reynolds is trying to bail on his lady. He wants to be dismissed from Baldoni's countersuit against him and Blake, which would basically just leave Blake alone, saying Justin can't sue him over hurt feelings. His lawyer, Mike Gottlieb, is arguing that Baldoni's claims have no merit, as his lawsuit focuses on Ryan allegedly calling Baldoni a predator in private conversations. That's not defamation. It's just you can't handle the truth, I guess. So Gottlieb goes on and says Mr. Reynolds has a First Amendment right to express his opinion of Mr. Baldoni, which should be comforting to a group of people who have repeatedly called Ms. Lively and Mr. Reynolds bullies and other names over the past year. I don't even know what that means. Why would it be comforting to people who have called them bullies? I don't understand that you called him a predator in private. Oh, I guess in private and not a public. Anyway, Gottlieb goes on as he tries to get Reynolds out of the Baldoni lawsuit. He says the claims filed against Mr. Reynolds are simply a list of grievances attempting to shame Ryan for being the man Mr. Baldoni has built his brand pretending to be. A man who is confident enough to listen to the woman in his life. Now, bruh, if the woman in your life is leading you astray because she's insecure, dishonest, entitled, whatever it is your job to, lovingly, if you can, stand up to her. Ryan basically, so he wreaks havoc on this guy's life, and now he wants to see his way out of this thing? Oh, you know that didn't sit well with Justin's lawyer, the legal 800-pound gorilla, Brian Friedman. He reacted today. He said Mr. Reynolds' exploitation of his enormous power in Hollywood continues, this time arrogantly asking to be dismissed from the case despite his publicly documented involvement extending far beyond just being a supportive spouse. Mr. Reynolds was a key player in the scheme, defaming Justin around Hollywood, strong-arming William Morris Endeavor, the talent agency, into dropping Justin as a client, and trying to destroy Justin's career however possible. Ryan's fingerprints have been all over this smear campaign against Justin and the Wayfarer team since day one. Mr. Reynolds now attempts to reduce plainly cognizable claims to just hurt feelings, sending a clear message that bullying is acceptable. Friedman goes on. After lighting a match, Mr. Reynolds now seeks to run from the flames. It won't work. The Wayfarer party's claims against him are real and they are serious. Mr. Reynolds can appear on as many sketch shows as he wants and feebly try to make light of his current situation, but we will not stop until he is held accountable for his actions. Now, no doubt that Ryan and Blake think they are victims and people are all now out to get them. No, you bullied, you messed up, you decided not to own it. Now you're doubling down. As the kids would say, you're a little bit on the Delulu side. So the intimacy coordinator, this woman, Mia Schachter, said that they had vibes. She's not the intimacy coordinator on the movie, but she participated in a documentary a couple nights ago called He Said, She Said, talking about all this. And she just looked at the text and looked at their vibe and said, in my experience, when an actor says, I don't need to meet the intimacy coordinator until we're shooting, as much as it hinders my process as a coordinator, it does typically indicate that they trust their scene partner. She goes on and says, those texts made me think that at one point she did feel a lot of trust with him. Yeah, no question. If you look at the text between, Blake Lively and Justin, all along, the ones that Brian Friedman released for the world to read, there's definite vibe. And even after that weird encounter in the apartment with Taylor Swift and everyone, and right after Ryan Reynolds berates him in front of everyone for fat shaming his wife, she offers, Blake offers Justin a ride on the private jet back to Los Angeles with her and the kids. No Ryan. He was back doing Deadpool at this time. Look, this thing is taking a toll on everyone. I was talking the other day, just 2 days ago, when Armie Hammer was here, we were talking about Brandon Sklenar, right? The second male on the call sheet from the movie. This guy's just coming apart at the seams. I mean, he's at the Vanity Fair party. He's mumbling around. South by Southwest, he's got word salads flying out of his mouth when they ask him about this thing. Isabel Ferrer, who plays the young Lily in It Ends With Us, she can't be found anywhere. Jenny Slate, the other actress, we don't know where she is. I'll tell you, it might be taking the greatest toll on the author, It Ends With Us author, Colleen Hoover. She just posted, she's been silent on Instagram. She just posted this. I don't know what in God's name she's talking about, but she seems schmammered.
This may be either a new rock bottom for me or the best thing that's ever come out of my brain. Look at this.
She always talk like this? What?
I poured Diet Pepsi into my ice cubes.
She poured Diet Pepsi into the ice cube tray.
The best Diet Pepsi I've ever had in my life.
Does she seem hammered to you?
I'll let you know how it goes.
Let's see how it goes. And then she goes on to put a symphony on in her sink, clanking everything and Tiffany's, and I mean, it's just a mess. What are you doing? That's your first post in all of this? How about your post should be, I'm sorry. I believed Blake like everyone else when the civil complaint was filed in California, and then 2 days later, the New York Times writes this article. I sent read this New York Times thing I told everyone. It's horrible, it's terrible. And then it all fell apart for everyone. Why doesn't anyone just say, I made a mistake? I think we live in a world, we're out of cancel culture now, I think. But we live in a world where if you say you're sorry, I just believe that people forgive you and you'll be okay. But not the half own. You got to own it. So this woman just seems to be falling apart. Anyway, Candace Owens is coming up in just a little while. She'll have a lot to say on every bit of this, especially the latest details. But let's go to a man right now who is standing up to his wife. We said Ryan is not when she's out of line. Oh, boy. Guess who is? I believe it's Alec Baldwin. Our producer, Rob Silverstein, is in here with some hot takes on hot mics.
Bill, their show on TLC, Alec and his wife and the 18,000 kids that they have, is not a ratings blockbuster, to put it that way.
Yeah.
So maybe this is... So they did an interview with Extra, your show, on the red carpet, and it's gone viral. And it appears that Alec is making a subtle dig at his wife's accent. Let's play that moment right now. So let's roll that, Steve.
Okay.
It's essential. It's essential. But, I think that us trying to every day.
Word for essential in Spanish.
Esencial. Okay.
What is essential in Spanish? Esencial.
Oh my God, you're distracting me right now.
Sorry.
Like now you're just doing that. Why? Why are you distracting me?
I'm just captivated
Yeah,
by
you're
it.
Now
just,
she
yeah,
slips
you're
back
just
into it a
distracting me.
little
No, but oh my God, stop! You're annoying me. Stop.
Okay, my
It's
God,
not cute.
stop it. Oh my God, now you're she has always dipped in and out of the Spanish accent. Now, I have to tell you something. I also dip in and out of a Spanish accent. I think it's the most romantic language that there is. I think more romantic than Italian and French. I love Espanol. It's beautiful. How often do I speak like this? I say, Rob, you're doing a great job today. You have a blanco pencil. You look fantastic. Absolutamente. I love the word absolutamente and solamente. Anything with a mente on the end. And sometimes I just speak that way. I enjoy it. But keep in mind, she is Hillary Lynn Hayward Thomas from Boston. She's a Boston girl. Lynn, the city of sin, baby. Bostonians know this. I mean, that's just the middle name. But yeah, she's from Boston and her name is Hillary. And always has been. But look, the whole thing reminds me of a horrendous Today Show appearance. This is where it really came undone. She was cooking on the Today Show, and during the entire interview, she had a Spanish accent the whole time. I remind you, before you listen to this, she grew up in Boston.
It's very healthy. It's very easy. All you need to make sure is that you have really good tomatoes. We have very few ingredients. We have tomatoes. We have, how do you say it in English? Cucumbers. We have,
how do you say in
red
English?
pepper.
I love it. I absolutamente love it. How do you say in English? Cucumber. Papi. Cucumber, right.
You're in Boston.
Come on, Hillary.
Do you have a Boston accent? Can you give me a Boston
I mean,
accent?
I do the wicked hat piss, that whole thing right there. You know who does the best? The Boston accent the best. Not, Ben does it a lot in different movies. Affleck, of course, but he's authentic. John Voight in Ray Donovan. Right? It's very subtle. It's very
remember
good.
The dance?
Yeah. Oh, he is so good. That's the best Boston accent because it's just got a tinge to it.
Yeah.
That I like.
All right, let's move to White Lotus.
Oh, God.
Our favorite show.
Yeah.
There's a little more news. Patrick Schwarzenegger came out and said, or his co-star said, that with the kissing scene with his brother in last week's episode, that he almost vomited from that scene. It was that much to him. So that's interesting.
Patrick almost vomited. Yeah, well, look, I mean, people assume that we're going to find out in the White Lotus that Patrick Schwarzenegger, and so his younger brother is drunk for the first time. He's a senior in high school, and he starts kissing Patrick. They're both wasted on a boat, partying, taking ecstasy with these women, and all this. But we believe we're going to find out that they're stepbrothers.
That's the rumor.
That's the rumor that we're going to find out, but. Apparently, this episode that's coming up here, I think an edit was made to that episode where it goes further between the two of them. There's a screener episode for 6 that was released to some people, and that goes further between the two of them. Then we rewatched it, and it's gone. That scene of them going further, and I think that's from the audience coming out. And you don't need to go make a huge, scandal out of it, but, I mean... I think people were repulsed by the whole incest idea and said, too much. We're seeing penises everywhere. That's enough. But we don't want to see any more incest. And I'm one of them.
Well, I've been talking about the debauchery that goes on in episode 6. It started in 5. It goes to 6. I rewatched 6 because I have it. And that scene, which we're not going to go into detail on, is not there anymore.
But what comes after kissing between two boys, something else that's a little more full contact?
It's not crazy, but it's enough that they did pull it out. Now, maybe it'll be back in. We'll find out on Sunday. Maybe it'll be back in.
I don't think you put that back in. No. I don't think there's any way you say, oh, no, people were turned off by the incest. Yeah, you know what? Let's give it to them.
Yeah. No, it's
or maybe they went and made something more hardcore.
And
I hope not.
Just to make sure I wasn't seeing things, I actually called my wife. And I said, Debbie, did we see what I'm describing? Yes, we saw it. I said, well, it's no longer there.
Do you think some people think that the White Lotus this season is just too dark? There was this whole, scene where Walton Goggins' character, who I love, he plays Rick, who's a guy falling apart at the seams. He believes that the owner of the hotel killed his father when he was young, and he wants to go avenge his father's life. So he leaves the resort and he goes to Bangkok. And then he has this very weird scene with Leslie. Leslie Bibb is a character on the show. Leslie Bibb's husband is Sam Rockwell in real life. So he obviously was missing his wife and wanted to come visit. And they wrote Sam Rockwell a scene. And in this scene, it's just Walton Goggins and Sam Rockwell sitting down. And he begins to, Sam Rockwell's a recovering sex addict who says, just goes into this whole thing about, I went on a binge and I just went on an thing with Asian girls like crazy. And then I realized underneath it all that I wanted to be one of them, so he hired male gigolos to come. I mean, it's so dark that it's like, what
you
are we
didn't
doing?
like that scene.
No, I thought we were going to roll. I said, you know what? No.
Right, you killed it out of the last
But what
show.
is Sam? It's so, keep back at the resort, keep the enigmatic characters. Where's the humor? This thing won comedy awards. There's nothing funny this time around. I'm still totally hooked. I'll say that.
Yeah, there's no question we're not going to keep following it. Now, speaking of
Parker Posey does have moments where
incredible.
I laugh.
She's hysterically funny.
Yeah,
and she's
a lorazepam
and
addict.
Patrick Schwarzenegger's imitation of her is dead on. It's great. Can you do it?
No, I have to think.
Come
I have to
on.
hear it. I have to hear it.
Okay, because you're really good at these.
I don't want. Oh no, I can't.
Okay, well,
if I heard it, I could spit it
For
back out.
Monday, we're going to play her, and then you're going to do her.
Okay,
That's
fine.
what we're going to do. Okay. But Pete Davidson's at it again.
No.
You know, he's notorious for the high-profile romances, but now he's got a non-celebrity. Now, she is a model.
Oh, he's dating a civilian.
Right. She's 29.
Wow.
Actress Elsie Hewitt. All right?
Wow, Elsie Hewitt. Okay.
Yeah.
She's
Now, she has a dating history, too, Bill.
Oh, she's okay.
Ryan Felipe, Benny Blanco.
Benny Blanco?
Yes.
How does Benny Blanco do this?
I don't know.
Benny
The guy's
Blanco.
Right. The guy must have some personality.
I thought this was that Selena Gomez was a one-off for Benny Blanco.
know.
He's a regular Casanova.
Jason Sudeikis.
Oh.
Bill, how does he do it?
Well,
Explain to me.
he's very funny. He's got a great personality. He's very charming, and pertaining to our other conversation before,
Yeah.
if he was in the White Lotus, I think prosthetic not needed. Is for what I'm hearing. But his dating history is tremendous. Kim Kardashian, that was explosive when that came on. Kate Beckinsale, Margaret Qualley, Kaya Gerber, Madeline Klein, Ariana Grande. I mean, this guy. The fact that he's going civilian, I think he's actually, I think he's finished off the entire
She's not really
celebrity
slim, Bill.
community.
This photo just popped up, too, of them, which is crazy. That's on the beach.
Yeah, your phone dropped
I'm
out.
sure you say, oh, God. There
Anyway.
it is. It's back. It's back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Look at you, celebrity. He's got paparazzi photos on his phone.
mean,
All right,
that's
listen, we
incredible.
got detail. We got lots of things going on here. With Candace Owens is ready to go. We're going to take a quick break and catch up with Candace on the latest developments in the Ryan Reynolds and Baldoni situation. This is Hot Mics with Billy Bush. We are sponsored by LA Golf, the most technologically advanced golf gear on the market. No more expectations, no more outdated conventions, just individuality, innovation behind your every swing. From the first ever fully assembled clubs to the best balls in the game. Take your game to the next level. See what it's all about. I just finished out my LA Golf questionnaire, which you can do on the website, and then you throw in your swing speed, you answer 11 questions, and they custom make a driver for you. Pretty darn awesome. 30 seconds away from the great Candace Owens.
Welcome to LA Golf. You guys ready for the tour? We're the only golf company that manufactures its clubs here in the United States. All LA Golf drivers are built right here.
I'm very excited for today's production. It's going to be
4 left.
Anybody hungry? So does he work here?
Work here? He lives here.
And the mics are hot with Candace Owens. Happy to welcome her, conservative commentator, as you know. You must know Candace Owens. Writer, podcaster, influencer, and like I said earlier, unparalleled find-outologist. At night, this woman consumes legal filings, not romantic novels. She's reading legal briefs, and she pursues what she perceives as injustices everywhere, and not afraid to pick, some touchy ones, some controversial ones, like Harvey Weinstein, which we'll get into. But Candace has an amazing YouTube that is grown leaps and bounds week over week. There she is. Candace, I was pedaling a little bit because we had to bring up your picture, and we have it. There she is. How you doing, Candace?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I think I know you, but I don't think I've ever met you. Have we ever met?
No, we have not met, but I also feel like I know you, but I've never met you.
Yeah, it's just like someone you've seen enough that you. And anyway, look your coverage on this on Blake Lively, and Ryan Reynolds and Baldoni and all this is just it's second to none. I've been listening to every one of your episodes. What is your reaction to today's events? Ryan's attempt to get dismissed from Baldoni's lawsuit.
Look, so I just covered this on my show. Totally understandable legal maneuver. Of course, you're going to try to get your clients dismissed from a lawsuit. So we're seeing that from Leslie Sloan. We're seeing that from Ryan Reynolds. But when you read into his lawsuit, it's really fascinating to see how there's two courts that are playing out right now, and both of them have a lot of significance in their life. If they lose in the real court, obviously they're going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars that are at stake. But also in the court of public opinion, hundreds of millions of dollars are at stake. And so this filing to dismiss is essentially him saying, like, nah, 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 boo boo on the defamation claim. You can't touch me because it's satire, right? He's arguing that, satire, and it is, satire is protected speech, and that when he assumed this nice pool character, oh, well, you got hurt feelings, but it does not rise to an actual defamation claim. I want to be clear. That's actually, on that one point, a strong legal argument.
Yeah, but that's not really what it's about, though. I mean, right? It's not really
about... That's not what it's about.
No.
There's 5 other claims. He's got extortion. He's got false light, and everything immediately falls apart there. But I'm saying even that was ill-advisable. I would not have said, quote unquote, hurt feelings, and saying, like, they're basically bullying him again in the lawsuit. And I'm going, guys, that's not good. Don't do that. Like, this is not a great way to argue, especially because they've got you on this extortion. His argument is so weak. He's basically saying, well, I didn't receive any money. And it's like, buddy, extortion is a lot bigger than that. You made threats to go public with sexual harassment claims so that your wife could take over the movie, which you wrote scenes for. There's no wiggling out of this. Like, they have definitely met, I would say, the preliminary standard to go through until we get to some discovery. And my guess is when we get to that discovery, there's going to be a lot stronger defamation claims against Ryan Reynolds, because could you imagine the text messages between him and Hugh Jackman as they're putting together all of these scenes? I mean, it's going to get crazy.
Well, Candace, so I think of all the friends that they're losing here, and these people have to be furious. I mean, they're all going to have to pay for the associated inconveniences, the travel, the lawyers, if Hugh Jackman, anyone getting deposed who's got to make arrangements for it if they have to get their own lawyers or whatever it is. And here's Ryan, should be looking out for them and not himself. I would think it's right, sort of bad form here. I think of this guy, Sklenar, like Brandon Sklenar. What a miserable guy. I cannot stop focusing on him because, you see him out at whatever red carpet he's on. He gets asked, or he's on CBS in the morning and he's mumbling through giving word salads and he's so miserable. Then, of course, Ryan Reynolds gets him to do this dumb skit with Hugh Jackman and Ryan's mom. And there's Sklenar. He doesn't have the ability to say no because he wants to be as big as Ryan Reynolds or Hugh Jackman one day. So, okay, I'll go along with it. But boy, I mean, it's just like, it's kind of embarrassing, right?
He just has to man up and say, I'm sorry. I can understand, okay, maybe he really truly believed it. Many people were deluded by her New York Times expose, and they read through the CRD complaint, not even knowing the differences between what a CRD complaint and a real actual lawsuit is. All of that could be forgivable if you immediately backpedal and say, you know what, I shouldn't have said what I said. And that's actually what Blake Lively's brother-in-law did. I'm blanking on his name right now, but he was in Yellowstone, and he gave a very strong statement when the CRD complaint came out. And then when he was met with more information from Brian Friedman, he gave an equally as strong statement saying, I shouldn't have been reactive. I shouldn't have, involved myself in this. And that was very commendable. Yeah. But this is not what Brandon Sklenar is doing. He basically likely got signed by WME, which was quite recent because of the connections with Blake Lively. They obviously kind of rolled out the red carpet for him. And so he's too much of a coward to go back because they established these Hollywood connections to just say, you know what, I shouldn't have waded into this lawsuit at all. And it wasn't really my business to begin with. And I wish everybody luck. And I'd like to apologize to Justin Baldoni because he treated me well and did nothing wrong. And I allowed him to sit in a basement with his family because I was starstruck by Hugh Jackman.
Yeah. What point did it become clear to you that Blake Lively was the aggressor in this now epic showdown? Was it right after was it when Baldoni dropped the countersuit? Was it when Brian Friedman put up the website with the 170 pages and all the text? Or was it right away when the Times wrote?
Right away. I've always had an intuition about her, and I've always had an intuition about Taylor Swift and like the branding of the nice girl stuff. and something just didn't. I went through Justin Baldoni's Instagram, and he just seemed like a puppy. And I read it just didn't add up to me that this guy was secretly just dying to talk about pornography all the time and talk about his porn addiction and wanted her to look at pornography. I'm going, this is not the Instagram feed I'm looking through. And I went back years, and I was frustrated by how nice
phony,
he was.
And he's doing TED Talks about, we men need to be better. I mean, he's that man bun, male apologist that it would really fly in the face of everything he's put out there about himself. So, yeah, that would be odd. I wonder if they ever looked in his Instagram. It didn't pass the
sniff test.
Yeah.
And I knew a bit about her. I knew how she grew up. I knew that she kind of was one of these people. What tends to be the case is that when you grow up with everything, you create things out of nothing because you're looking for struggle in your life and you're used to getting whatever it is that you want. So I just kind of had her down to a prototype and said, I'm going to pump the brakes and see what happens. And then when Brian Friedman came back with the facts, they were just undeniable. It was undeniable, and it contextualized everything. And it really was quite horrific because you just go, what kind of a monster even goes through with this CRD filing and doesn't include the proper context of these things? Like, he showed me a pornographic video on the phone. Oh, you meant a birth video of his wife? Like, nobody's looking at live birth porn. And so it was monstrous what she did, and she's got to pay for it.
Live birth porn. I mean, I've heard of some pretty sick fetishes out there, but that's
not one of them.
Hey, man, that would take the cake. What do you like? By the way, the trial is supposed to be March of 2026, a year from now. But I mean, you saw Brian Friedman's response today and the statement that he put out, lambasting Ryan Reynolds. No way are you getting out of this lawsuit. You've done everything. You've exploited. You've thrown him out of William Morris. You've done all of this stuff. You're not getting out. I mean, it is being tried now, not just in the court of public opinion, but by the lawyers. I mean, everything that they file, every statement that they put out, we all consume. It's actually happening, isn't it?
Yeah, it's happening. My best guess is they're going to try to get dismissed. It's not going to happen. And then we're going to see the rubber meet the road. They're going to understand what the implications are of these subpoenas. They're going to understand what the implications are of putting Taylor Swift under oath and going through Taylor Swift's text messages. And by the way, I think a lot of people are correctly assessing that it's Taylor Swift's messages that they don't want to provide insight into. But I'm going to go with it's also Ryan Reynolds. I think Ryan Reynolds has a few secrets in the closet, too, that they don't want people to be taking a look at. And it's going to destroy these people. That's why they wanted this attorney's eyes only privilege. And basically, we can say anything. The public can't see it, just the attorneys. It was kind of a radical thing to want. And they were arguing that, careers could be ruined. Well, what could be ruined? You might be a little embarrassed, but to ruin a career, there has to be some level of fraud in terms of how you're presenting yourself to the public and who you are in private. And so that kind of a desperate sort of a pleading, which was to do something that was abnormal and file for this attorney eyes only, which they didn't give them. He kind of half-weighted and said, according to medical records, which is self-explanatory. But that lets me know that they're scared and they're not going to admit that until they lose the dismissals. And then I think they're going to want to settle. And a settlement's a good idea if they give the full mea culpa. This is not we're settling behind closed doors and nobody's talking about it. Brian's not going to agree to that. I don't know Brian from a hole in the wall, but just by reading his filings, he's not going to agree to that. Well, it's going to have to be a full blown, I am sorry, I lied, I am a terrible person, tail in between the legs, and that's what we deserve.
Remember, Blake and Ryan wrote a public statement, back in August for Baldoni to release. We'll write it for you. We'll sign your name even, but you put it out saying that every bit of it's all on you, every uncomfortable moment we felt it. Well, now they could do the same thing. But right. Brian Friedman could say, here, exactly. Okay, you want to do a settlement? Here it is. We're going to write, you are sick people who tried to take over my movie and crush a little peanut like me just because I'm a man bun wearing, soft, beautiful soul. And then here, you release that. Candace Owens, we're talking to here. Candace is her podcast. It has grown leaps and bounds. Candace, what do you imagine is going on, though? You've talked about Ryan as of late. You've referenced that he might be gay, which, by the way, out of bounds in mainstream Hollywood. You're not allowed to do that. But you've sort of gameplayed that a little bit. What do you think is happening? Is it that Blake had a thing for Justin, and when Ryan sensed that there was that thing in the air, she played it off like he was a creep and said, "Oh my God, he's making the advances at me. I'm not doing anything." I don't know. Is that a context that Ryan could understand? What's happening?
First and foremost, I want to say Ryan himself has referenced him being gay about like 30 times via various skits, some skits that were in movies, some skits
Family
that
Guy?
were just a part of the Golden Globe. No one says like hints that he's gay more than Ryan Reynolds does. But the only reason that's relevant, because sexuality isn't relevant to this case, is because we were really trying to assess the sociological factors here. Why is he so angry? What is like, he is acting like somebody who has deep-seated anger. And it really, for me, the piece came together when he, for no reason, included this piece about him and his dad having daddy issues in the It Ends With Us promotional weird thing he did with Hugh Jackman, where he talks about Ryan never resolved his issues with his dad. And then his teacher emailed me from Canada and was like, no, Ryan has true daddy issues, and like he's had this sociopathic character trait since he's been in my drama club. And it made me realize that people that tend to be that vicious and be that angry have unresolved pieces of themselves. And he said as much in this It Ends With Us skit that had nothing to do with the movie. He said he has like unresolved issues, and they're daddy issues. They're like daddy issues. And I think that because of that, he was really just using Justin Baldoni as a punching bag, because there was something about Justin Baldoni's character constantly talking about, like the real Justin Baldoni, doing this inner healing and childhood healing and addressing your true self, that triggered him. And I do think that Blake opened up to him. Maybe he caught it on the cameras at their penthouse. He heard a conversation about him. And I think she opened up to Justin Baldoni about Ryan having these issues with his father, and he snapped. He like completely snapped and lost the plot and wanted to assert dominance over Justin Baldoni in the strangest of ways, which by taking over his entire movie. And that's how he garners his sense of self and his sense of power.
Talking to Candace Owens here, I get that. I spoke with a source who's very close to all. In fact, he's being deposed. He's that intimate with, in this circle of friends that they have. But what I was told is that all of the friends are just pissed off, like including, all the way down to his Deadpool director, Sean Levy, who's best friends. And then you got all those people who were, Bradley Cooper and everybody who went to the screening that Blake held, but also said that Blake is really tough on Ryan. It's not just Ryan, but that she is like, look, you're the A-list guy. You need to do this. Show me you are that big, powerful guy in Hollywood. Step up. Let me see you do. And that's all in the aftermath. She wants him out front in this fight. So I have to imagine they have some problem. I mean, like, if he's pulling himself out and Leslie Sloan, the publicist for Blake, is trying to pull herself out, and the New York Times wants to be dismissed from the Baldoni suit too, that's everybody leaving Blake alone in it, right? Did he just bail on his wife?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely say she is not innocent in any of this without question. I really do think she's just a spoiled brat. Like, it just goes down to something that simple. She's a spoiled brat, and she's used to getting what she wants from a time that she was a kid. And this is what she wanted. And I do think that people have not pieced together, and I've been speaking about it, the Scarlett Johansson piece of this is also something. She's the one that walked away from Ryan. He has control issues, and she was working with Wayfarer on her directorial debut at this time that this movie was being shot. And lo and behold, what is Blake trying to do? She's trying to make Ryan scramble to get her directorial rights over this movie. Like they're in this like weird competition. Yeah. Another episode of my show, I went into that.
I want to be a director before she's a director.
Right. Another piece of this, Scarlett Johansson was also shooting a movie with Channing Tatum. Out of nowhere, Ryan plucks Channing Tatum up out of obscurity and puts him in the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, premiering as Gambit. And he did this whole thing thanking him. So there is a Scarlett Johansson element. There is a competitive element. And I do believe that Blake Lively put pressure on him because she's not that smart. She's not a brilliant actress, and she's not a Scarlett Johansson. And I think that, she suffers from that insecurity of wanting to feel like she belongs in the A-list club that Taylor Swift is in, and that her husband kind of isn't really in, but they now have a lot of A-list friends.
Yeah, well, everybody wants to be Reese Witherspoon, somebody who's optioning books everywhere and turning them into, miniseries all over the place. Okay, speaking of people who, option material, successfully for many, many years, your other investigation, relitigating the Harvey Weinstein Me Too takedown. Wow. You believe, in essence, that while he is a morally compromised lech of a man, he is not a rapist. He was done dirty. Did the movement, Me Too, just sort of require a villain? What's the deeper issue here? What's going on here?
Just like with Johnny Depp, this is the problem when like the press reports on something, and until the public can get into the courtroom, you rely on the press reporting. And with Harvey Weinstein, I fully believed he was guilty of something. There were so many allegations. I didn't even really know why he was in prison. I don't think many people did. And it came down to the testimony of 3 women. And when I got involved in the case and took a look at it, I was absolutely shocked. It was just a kangaroo court. I mean, nothing made sense. They allowed things to happen because all of the evidence pointed to the contrary. It pointed to a consensual, years-long relationship.
5 years.
Not like, literally, Jessica Mann was a 5-year relationship. And she's like, at the beginning, I was raped. And then I had a 5-year consensual. It was one time that I was raped over the 5 years. But then like I was messaging him and asking for tickets, and he took me and my girlfriend here and he met my mom. It's like, how did this happen? And I was saying he was innocent before the appellate court overturned it for the very same reason, right? They said, send this back down. Everything that happened procedurally here is completely crazy. You basically allowed people to come in there and just testify to his character. I mean, weird testimonies. He got into a fight with his brother, Bob Weinstein. Doesn't have to do with anything. Well, you're just trying to convict him and make him seem like he's a bad person because you don't feel strong on the evidence. And personally, my opinion of Gloria Allred is that she's engaged in this stuff for a very long time. I would call these shakedowns. Legally, she's able to shake down men by finding women. There have been reports that she even bullies her clients and tells them to go through with things that they're not comfortable with. And I think all that's going to come out. I think we're at a turning point now where people are ready to re-examine what the Me Too movement actually was. It was a social justice movement. It was not about real justice. You do not have to like Harvey, believe in Harvey, enjoy his movies, none of that, to acknowledge that what happened in these relationships was transactional. And these women are wanting to renege on those transactions because they don't feel like their careers took off. And that is just not, this should not be allowed. You can't be using sexual assault and harassment to get what you want.
Have you ever had a man be creepy in a workplace environment to you in some sort of sexual way?
I mean, no. And I got to say this, let's define creepy.
I mean,
I feel like
this is an
redefined it.
Maybe there was an overcorrection, but underneath
you on a date.
What's that?
Men saying that you look nice. These used to be like normal things, like normal behavior. And now everybody's like, oh no, if he asks you on a date, like you've been raped. I don't subscribe to that culture. Well. I think it makes it so that men shouldn't even want to hire women. You know, it's like, what? Of course, if a man tells you you look nice, okay, it's a compliment, let it go. If he's creeping you out and won't leave you alone after you've said, no, I don't want to go on a date with you, that's something different.
Yeah.
But it's nice to be asked out. It's nice to be told, that someone thinks that you look nice. And so Me Too movement has been toxic in terms of the healthy relations between men and women. I think it's toxified it a lot.
Well, we oftentimes there's just an overcorrection when we're trying to do something good. We overcorrect. I mean, Pepe Le Pew took it on the chin. Remember the little Casanova skunk? He got canceled. Mm-hmm. Baby, It's Cold Outside was looked at again as
such a great song.
I really can't stay. No, you gotta stay. No. I mean, it's like
no.
But in this investigation, what I'm fascinated is you've had phone calls with Harvey Weinstein. Like, were you nervous before the first call? Just like talking to Harvey from jail?
No,
That's like weird.
I was so confident because I was just like, who is this guy? We're on opposite sides of the political aisle, and I'm just like, he's in prison, And then suddenly I was sitting up straight. I really was, because he has a power about him, and he's very smart. He didn't get to where he was by being a dummy. He messed up on the affairs, but it wasn't because he was a business dummy. And so we've spoken a lot, and I've really grown to appreciate those conversations from a business perspective. And I just like to see the way his mind works, and the idea that he's going to die in prison for something that I don't believe he did. It sends a chill down my spine. I'm a mother to my third boy on his way. I don't want that world to exist for men. These are, people forget, the Me Too movement made us forget, these are our brothers, our sons, our husbands. We are not a separate species from men. And so I think it's incumbent upon women like me to use our platforms to defend men. And sometimes they're not going to be great moral men like Harvey Weinstein, and sometimes they're going to be little puppies like Justin Baldoni. But when evil women do something, we have to speak out against it.
Yeah, there's toxic masculinity, femininity, toxic humanity. I think we agree on that.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. A year ago, Candace, you left the Daily Wire. You had a falling out with them. In a year's time, congratulations. You've doubled your footprint, and you've striking out on your own ended up being a good thing. I'm sure there was a moment where you thought, oh, God, this is going to be awful or whatever, and then you regroup, and you've built something through downtime. Sometimes the best things happen. I can speak to that myself. But what's interesting is, you know, since then, a lot of people, you've been called an anti-Semite. And I come to that because you're fighting for Harvey Weinstein, who might be the most loathsome Jew, you know, in America right now. So, I mean, but anti-Semite does get thrown around a little bit like fascist. It's one of those words we hear all the time. It actually means a person who discriminates against or is prejudiced or hostile toward Jews. Would you say that, you know, you say people know foreign policy of the Israeli state? Yes. Is that right? Is that about right?
Exactly. It's like that they're trying to conflate criticism of the Israeli government with how you feel about Jews. And it's a nonsense, and that's kind of falling apart, and it's not working anymore. It's like, you know, when BLM kind of overused racism and suddenly they were taking down white girls who braided their hair. Eventually, when you overuse it, people start to recognize it's not real. And with me, I play it straight. You know, I look at people as who they are. You know, Harvey Weinstein, don't really care about his politics. He loves the ADL. I'm on their list for being an anti-Semite, whatever. What do I think about what Harvey Weinstein did here? Steve Sarowitz, obviously, Justin Baldoni, they're all Jewish. You know, I'm defending these people because I don't care about what their ethnicity. I don't care about who or what they worship. It's about right and wrongness. And I just personally think the Israel government is wrong. And that I'm entitled to that opinion, and I'm not going to change it because there is this like threat, which is a form of emotional extortion of like, we'll just cancel you and call you anti-Semitic. It's like, okay, well, I'm not going to stop saying what I believe in because you're going to, you know, try to smear me or libel me. And I think everyone's kind of waking up to that, whether you're smearing someone like they try to do with Justin Baldoni as like just this like freaky porn obsessed, you know, didn't call him a rapist, but heavily implied that he just likes to peek a look every now and then, sort of a thing. All of this stuff has got to stop. You know, we have to just start being honest about what's going on and not trying to ruin people when we don't get what we want.
I know you don't love Bari Weiss, but I read her. I think she's pretty good. And I like the Free Press. I like what they do. I do remember her saying when October 7th, you know, when Hamas made that, you know, terrible invasion and raped and murdered and kids. And I remember her saying there was 95% support, you know, overwhelming support for Israel and however they responded and the pain they were in. And I just remember her saying, keep in mind, this is going to go away. This feeling is going to go away. People are going to forget entirely, and it's going to swing around the other way. And then all of a sudden, we're going to be not justified in this response. I happen, in my own opinion, I support Israel in their response. And I've heard you talk, like the death of children anywhere is a terrible, terrible thing. But when you think about, I mean, the rape and the murder of little girls and chopping off their feet and things, I just don't, Israel doesn't do that. They don't.
Yeah, I mean, I would push back on that, and that's because we're literally seeing that happen on both sides, and that's kind of what the problem is. And there are these war crimes that are happening on both sides every day, and that was what it was. I was literally watching these Palestinian kids that had no heads come out after these indiscriminate bombings, and I would describe them as indiscriminate. Because it didn't seem like they were just trying to tackle taking out a tunnel. And I don't think you can get up to 18,000 women and children being killed and still hold on to the argument that this is just a response.
But do we believe the numbers that come from the Minister of Information representing Hamas? I mean, like...
Well, no, this one wasn't representing Hamas. This was the one that Israel relied on the ministry that they relied on for the COVID figures, and then suddenly they said they're illegitimate. So that's also part of the reason. And again, I'm both sides. So what happened on October 7th was terrible. Anytime you see an Israeli child being attacked, that is terrible. An Israeli woman being attacked, that's terrible because of the actions of their government or the actions of a terrorist. That's terrible. But it doesn't just apply to Israel. It also applies to the Palestinians. And the death numbers, just on the basis of what I have seen on my X feed, are just exponential, and it's gone on. It wasn't just one day. It's gone on now for 2 years, and it hasn't stopped. It resumed last night. And so, we can debate the policy of that, and we should debate the policy of that. And it's remarkable because the IDF is known to be precise. They know how to get in and be so precise that they just take out the beepers, you know what I mean? And that the terrorists are all holding. And yet when it comes to Gaza, that precision has been lacking. And we should be able to, the way you and I are speaking is how everyone should be able to speak about this, speaking about just the facts of it, saying and expressing how they feel about it, wanting there to be a solution, and not screaming and calling each other names and calling each other terrorist supporter and anti-Semite and Jew hater. We just got to stop doing that, and also know when to just agree to disagree. Remember that?
Right.
You could just
which is why we've had this conflict, which is endless and will never end, because it's just too complicated. It just is. Look, I feel for all the Palestinian people who are not represented by Hamas and feel like they don't, or Hezbollah or anyone else, these terrorist groups. There's the vast majority of Palestinian people are wonderful, beautiful, loving people like you, like me. And listen, I know you have a heart out here, Candace. But before we go, you have a baby coming any second, don't you?
I do. Just T-minus 6 weeks. Hopefully he comes on time. So just 6 weeks left, and it's been fun. I'm actually going to really miss doing the podcast. I might just have to pop in from the hospital if there's another filing. I just can't get enough of Brian Friedman's filings.
You won't be able to walk away. You will not be able to walk away. There's no way.
But it's been so fun.
And did you meet just quickly, your husband, you 30 days later, and you guys were engaged to be married after 30?
18 from the time that we laid eyes on each other, 18 days. And it's one of the funniest. It basically is a rom-com that features Russell Brand. I was doing Russell Brand's podcast. He made me late in London. And if it hadn't been for Russell Brand, maybe I wouldn't have married my husband. Who knows?
And he's an Englishman. Yes, he's an Englishman.
Yes. Yeah. Born and raised in London. And now he lives here, and we're in Tennessee. So it's a different landscape for him. But
you moved an Englishman to Tennessee. Wow. That's tax-free. Very beautiful there in Tennessee. That's incredible.
It is.
Don't be like Madonna now and just all of a sudden you're English. You just take on an English accent because of the osmosis with him around.
I might do.
Hello, darling. All right. Well, Candace.
Bill, we got some questions, actually.
Questions coming in. Candace, the people were live on YouTube. They want to hear. Okay, what do you got?
Okay,
fire away.
First one's from the Panthera to both of you. Do you guys think that Ryan and Blake are secretly filming what they're going through from their side behind the scenes, like a reality TV style?
Ooh, like Karen Reed.
Yeah, to save their reputation.
No, not at all.
I think it's a nightmare. It would be a horror film.
Mm-hmm. And also, she's just not a good actress.
Yeah, and they're too big. No, I don't think so.
All right, we got one more. This one is from Emily. This is for you, Candace. General question for Candace. How does she select the subject matter for her deep dives, her series, other than trending people and subject matter? How do you pick, or where do you look?
Great question. Honestly, I just get obsessed with random things. I will read something and be like, oh, I always say, I'm like the emoji face is like, oh, and then I just get super excited about it. And I think every woman has a natural detective in them. That's why they're always like, if a woman if their husband's cheating on them, we turn to the CIA. We find things you wouldn't believe. The whole FBI should just be a fleet of women. And I just instantly transform into that. I dot my I's, cross my T's, create timelines, and I just get obsessive. And it really is. It'll just be like a weird article or a weird, I got into the Kamala Chronicles because The Guardian came for Janet Jackson. And I was like, why are they coming for Janet Jackson? I love Janet Jackson. Next thing you know, I looked and I couldn't stop. So
and you
it's my obsessive personality mixed with female instinct.
When you dive, you dive. Yeah, I think you said the other day, you said, I don't know. I don't know, but I know.
But I know. That's a women's intuition.
Women's intuition.
Yeah.
Candace Owens. Candace is her podcast and of course the YouTube following. But 1 year since you went out on your own, and you're already double the size. So thanks so much for taking some time. We appreciate it.
Anytime. Such an honor, you guys. We'll be back soon.
See you, Candace. Good luck. She's giving birth any minute now. Coming up, weigh-in Wednesday. Real quick, we got to do it. Skinny Vinny, I took him to the Bahamas. We had a work trip. I took Skinny down there. He was going crazy. He was eating everything in sight. I mean, is it water weight this time? Has he lost? On his way to $5,000 and 50 pounds down? We will see. Finding out next on Hot Mics with Billy Bush, presented by LA Golf.
Welcome to LA Golf. You guys ready for the tour? We're the only golf company that manufactures its clubs here in the United States. All LA Golf drivers are built right here.
I'm very excited for today's production. It's going to be
4 left.
Anybody hungry? So does he like work here?
Work here? He lives here.
Welcome back to Hot Mics. Skinny Vinny, the Slim Reaper, my assistant and beloved guy. You know, if you ever watch the movie Love Actually, which is my favorite, you know, you got Bill Nye, who's just sort of, you know, he's the aging pop star. That's kind of me in the relationship. And then he's got Chubbs, his driver, right? That guy. And then at the end, on New Year's Eve, after going to Elton John's party, you know, he stumbles in and he says, Chubbs, I realize at the end of it all, you are the love of my life. And I sort of feel that way about you, love. And there he is. Too. We went to the Bahamas together. We had rooms next to each other. We had fun. We had conch salads. We had Kalik beers. We were unsing by the pool. We went to the Shaggy concert where we found out it was him. Where are we on the weight thing? Let's see. Do we have a little video to roll there? Okay, we're looking at this here. If you're on TuneIn, I'm seeing he's at 245 pounds. So that's a pound up.
A pound up, yeah.
You gained only 1 pound after that 3 days?
I was surprised.
Hey.
I was surprised.
Look, nobody likes it. You know, in life, it's not about, you know, I think it was Oprah that said, you know, it wasn't the small successes that led to the big success, right? Yeah. It were the setbacks that springboard you into greatness. And my friend, that's pretty good.
I was surprised, honestly. So I thought after all the drinking and the eating and one little room service night, I'm not gonna lie to you. I did. Yeah, I did.
What did you order on room service? By the way, we had a $300 a day per diem, and he's like, "How am I not gonna order? I love late night snacks. What'd you order late night when I left you?"
Oh my gosh, I had a pastrami sandwich.
No.
And French fries and a Coke.
No.
Bro, I went crazy. And a slice of cheesecake too, actually.
What?
I added cheesecake.
And you wonder how this all happened in the first place. Pastrami sandwich, French fries with a little cheesecake kicker. What are you, nuts? Oh my gosh.
Honesty is the best policy. I had to get it off my chest and I waited for the show.
Passed out a food coma. But anyways, only 1 pound up, so pretty good. Altogether so far, that's 23 pounds down. You're not even halfway through to the 6 months, so you're doing great. That's it for us, folks. Thanks to Candace Owens, and thank you for listening on TuneIn. Get the premium. And also on YouTube, Hot Mics with Billy Bush. Please hit subscribe at the bottom and join us. And we'll see you back on Monday, our next episode. Bye-bye.